How I got rich and got into the top 1% was by studying the detail and the similarities between the people that are in the top 1%. When I studied the way rich people are, the way they think, the way they behave, their habits, and then just copied and emulated that, that's how I got rich as well. I've been a millionaire since the age of 25. I'm now 32 years old and I'm a multi-millionaire. This year alone, I've bought 2 hotels, I bought a factory, a warehouse, got 6 pieces of land, and over the last 12 months, I've generated over £20 million in revenue across my businesses. And I'm going to be sharing how the top 1% stay the top 1% in this video so you can do the same thing too. The first thing to know is this: top 1% sounds impressive, but it's not. In fact, I think that the top 1% are mostly full of brokies, and let me explain why. According to data, and you can Google this and find out yourself, but in the UK, the top 1% means you only need to be making £160,000 a year. Now, if you're making £160,000 a year after tax, you're going to be making about 100 grand a year. That is not that much money. So I don't even think you should aim to be in the top 1%. I think you should aim to be in the top 0.1%. But if you want to be in the top 0.1%, the first thing you need to do is you need to never, ever, ever be a victim. Victim mentality is something that not just causes people to be broke, but keeps people broke. If you're thinking, oh man, it's not my fault. Oh, this deal didn't happen because this person never got back to me. Oh, it's because of my gender, my age, my race, my this, my that. I started in business when I was 17 years old. And I did feel a little bit judged. I'd walk into estate agents, people would be, I could tell people thinking, who's this kid? Yeah, and I also wasn't educated. I flunked out of school age 16 and I didn't have any qualifications or anything. I'm not from a wealthy family at all. It was very easy for me to feel a little bit like, oh, a bit of a victim. Things didn't go my way. Things didn't go my plan. Oh, it's because I've not got a car. I can't get there. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. But one of the things that my mentor taught me at a very young age, Tony Crook, is he said to me, there's people that have been successful from your situation before. And if it's possible, then you can do it. And just getting me out of that victim mentality was the first thing that helped me become successful. So number 1 is never ever be a victim. Number 2 is the top 0.1% are always really good at this one thing, and that is sales. They know how to sell themselves. They know how to sell their products, sell their services. They can sell an idea. You can't name me one person who's a billionaire who's not great at sales. I'm not saying they're extrovert. So you might be thinking, when I say sales, like pushy, manipulative, door-to-door salesman. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking Steve Jobs type of sales, where he'd create a new product and do a presentation and just have everybody wowed, everybody eating out of it, the palm of his hand, at his fingertips as he presents, as he sells his new product. That's good sales. Even Jesus was a good salesperson. Very direct. You follow me. Direct to the point. He'd sell an idea that's still around thousands of years later. Martin Luther King, I have a dream, and everyone was gripped, sold on the idea of what he was sharing, the vision that he had. That's good sales. So whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling a service, whether you're selling an idea, whether you're selling yourself, if you want to be in the top 0.1%, you've got to get good at articulating, communicating, and sales. Number 3 is super successful people never try and do it alone. They don't do it alone. They get in groups. They find networks, mentors. They get around support groups. I looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger. I recently watched the Netflix movie or documentary Arnold, and it was interesting to see how he was desperately wanting to get to America because he felt like the environment and his support network would be better in America. He joined a gym and was around other people doing the same thing, and then he became champion, Mr. Olympia. He became a millionaire in real estate, but if you look at his whole journey, he was around people. If you're trying to be successful alone, you're never going to be successful. The reason I became successful was because I got in support networks around other people, because ultimately you are who you hang around. And if you're just on your own at home trying to be successful with a skeptical mom and dad or a moody partner, it's never, ever, ever going to happen. You've got to break into new environments. If you're an eagle, but you're in a chicken coop, your whole mindset is just going to be like a chicken and you're never going to fly. You've got to get around the eagles if you want to be successful. Point number 4 is you have to invest all of your profits, all of your money back into your business. I mean, I make a lot of money. Do you know what I do with most of the money? I reinvest it back into my business, back into my brand. This is the growth mindset that the top 0.1% have, that the middle class, the poor, the working class, and even the comfortable. I even see some millionaires. Grant Cardone talks about this, where he says never listen to a millionaire because most of them are deadbeats. They make £1 million, or they realize their net worth's $1 million, they're in their 50s, and then they become super risk averse and they hold on to what they've got like this. They become a pond, whereas the top 0.1%, the super rich, are not ponds, they are reservoirs. They're rivers, and money flows through them, and they invest what they make back into building their business. I see this with all rich people. Look at Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk just invested 43 billion pounds into buying Twitter and then changed the branding. You know, it's just crazy, madness. And if you look at all billionaires, they're always growing their business. If they've had a good year and they've made a bit of money, they're going to then employ new people. Right? So they're thinking about growth. They're thinking about increasing their turnover and their revenues and their sales, investing back into their brand, investing back into their education. That's what the 0.01% of people always do. Point number 5 is that they invest in assets that cannot be taken away from them, that produce cash flow and capital appreciation. Whether you're in the business of, you're in the car business. I know a guy called Lord Bob Edmiston, who's a billionaire. He's in the car business. He's making crazy money. He owns the Subaru car across Europe. But what does he do with his profits from the car business? He puts it into real estate. He has a massive property business. In fact, now he makes more money from the property business than he does the car business. And you can see this if you go on the Sunday Times rich list and you look at all the rich people. I mean, some of them made money in property, but those that made money in business, they then invest into property, or maybe not even property, other assets, gold, silver, index funds. Rich people invest their money into things that cannot be taken away from them. I personally think that property is the best thing that is very difficult to get taken away. If you own land, it's very difficult to take that ever off you. Even if you burn the house down, you still got the land. So you want assets, and the rich people own assets that not only hold their value, but also produce cash flow as well. So that's point number 5. Point number 6, the top 0.1% of wealthy people that make massive amount of money. They understand that to protect their profits from being taxed, on paper, they need to not make any profits. This is why some of the biggest companies in the world, like Uber apparently don't make any profit. How is it that Uber don't make any profit? How is it that they drain their profits from their company? Why would they still be running? Because they do that deliberately so that they don't have to pay taxes. In very clever ways. Look at Nike. Nike have an offshore account that owns the trading mark to Nike, which charges the Western companies that own Nike as a way of putting money into a tax country that doesn't pay tax to avoid paying taxes legally. You can't necessarily set up a structure like that unless you're an international company and a big firm. But what you can do is you can think, well, hang on, if this year I've done £1 million and my profit is 800 grand, I don't want to pay profit on 800 grand. How can I get t-shirts that are tax deductible with my name on it? How can I start my phone? This is not my phone. This is my company phone. How can I shrink my profits? Maybe I need to go back to growing and reinvesting into yourself. Maybe I need to hire more staff so that I can bring down my profit on paper, so that I can grow bigger as a company and at the same time reduce my tax massively. So this is something that I didn't understand this at all. I remember getting hit in my 20s with a £1.6 million tax bill, and people killed this way. I'm putting aside money for tax. So the top 0.1% understand that to protect their profits from tax, they need to have as little profit as they can on paper. Point number 7 is the top 0.1% don't care about being liked. They have no interest in being liked. I've noticed actually that normal people, they all want to be liked. They won't say something that's going to make them disliked. They're worried about what people think of them. Steve Jobs didn't care what people thought of him. Elon Musk doesn't give a rip if he's liked or not. You know, the amount of hate he gets online. Do you think he reads it and cares and loses sleep over it? He don't give a monkeys. Rich people don't care. Bill Gates. People paint Bill Gates out to be an absolute demon. Do you think he cares? Do you think he loses sleep over it? Of course he doesn't. The guy's a multi-billionaire. The top 0.1% of people do not care at all about being liked or not. They do care about their reputation. They'll protect their reputation with their life. They'll protect their brand. You know, if people are saying lies that aren't true. I mean, I've had to do this. I've had people saying lies about me that aren't true. Nah, man, you don't put the facts on the table. People will make stuff up. So you've got to protect your brand, but you can't care and take it personal if you are not liked. And that's rich people absolutely don't. Number 8 is they're never satisfied. Enough is never enough. They're always pushing to the next level. You never see a billionaire that just goes, you know what? I think I might retire now. The top 0.1% are always, they're goal driven. There's always another mountaintop high that they're pushing to get to. And I think the reason for that is a lot of people think that when they become a millionaire, they'll relax, cool off, go live on a beach somewhere and not work. But actually that creates misery and depression. Real fulfillment and happiness happens in progression. When you're pushing towards a goal, when you can see the mountaintop, that makes you hopeful and filled with hope and joy. When you get to the top of the mountain, then we're going to climb back down. So the reason why a lot of astronauts are suicidal, because they come back down from space and then it's like, well, what now? We did it. We've arrived. So the top 0.1%, they hit their goal, but they're always pushing the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And often the goal has to be bigger than you. It's not just about making money. It becomes about leaving a legacy, a purpose, having a massive, massive goal that's going to keep you going until after you've died. Point 9 is they always have mentors and coaches to hold them to account, because the top 0.1% of people are smart. They understand, why would you reinvent the wheel when someone's done something before? If someone's done something before, why am I going to go, well, no. Let me figure out the route all by myself. I'm not going to use a sat nav. I'm not going to read a map. I'm just going to figure it out as I go, because it's nonsense. It's dumb. It will take you forever to get there. You're better off to find someone who's been the way that you want to go. How did you get there? Study what they did. And that's what I did. I studied what rich people have done, how they think, how they are, how their business works. Found out what they know, and then I became rich. And all rich and successful people have had mentors, even if their mentors have been, maybe they've had a father in their life who's successful in business and they've copied their father, but they've had an unofficial mentor. I've never met a billionaire who's got to where they've got to without people helping them, coaching them, consulting them along the way. Which brings me finally to point 10. By the way, I hope you're enjoying the video. And finally, the 10th thing that all rich people do, and to be in the top 0.1% of people, you gotta start doing this way more, and that is rich people take risks. They're not so risk averse. They don't wait for all the traffic lights to be on green before they just go. They'll take risks. They'll be bold. They'll be courageous. Elon Musk investing $43 billion on Twitter. That's a risk. It's still in the days. What's going to happen? Like, taking big risks. I saw an interesting quote, actually. I'm going to read this to you, which says this: billionaires risk millions to become billionaires. Millionaires risk thousands or hundreds of thousands to become millionaires. Broke people typically want to lose nothing yet still become rich. This is the broken mindset of poor people, not wanting to risk anything. An example would be this. I run a crash course, property investors crash course, where I personally run it for a whole day and condense everything I know about property investment and making money in property into one day. And the course is £1. It's ridiculous. It's a complete loss leader to me. Sometimes people will say, oh, but it's an hour away and I'm not sure. They're scared to pay £20 in petrol or catch a bus or whatever, because they think, oh, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if I come all the way down, book a hotel, pay £1? And it's like, man, if you're not prepared to risk losing one day out your life and a bit of bus fare or petrol money for potentially a completely change of your financial life forever, then you don't really deserve to be successful anyway. Rich people will say, what if? What could happen? Not, well, what could go wrong? What if it doesn't work? It's what if it does work? So with that being said, you know what? I'm going to leave a link in the description. There's probably going to be, I don't know how many, at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people that will be likely to watch this video. Out of the thousands of people that will watch the video, how many people will actually go, you know what? I'm going to invest £1. And I'm going to put a day aside. Probably only 100, maybe. Maybe only 1%. Will you be the top 1%? Let's find out.